Hello friends, it's Kayla. Since doing my Reading Like an Aries for a Week video, I have been inundated with requests to read like my Enneagram. So first of all, I just want to make it clear that this is not going to be an educational video in any way because I barely know anything about the Enneagram. I think we'll learn some things throughout this video. But my number one goal is actually not to read stuff about the Enneagram. I'm gonna pick up one book. I saw the Millenniagram is on sale, so I just grabbed that. I'm sure in the Enneagram world there are so many things that I'm not even aware of, different disputes and concerns with like discussions and literature about the Enneagram. So if you don't know anything about it, I'm just gonna guide you to some other channels down below. But essentially it is an idea that was birthed in like the 50s or 60s or 70s that is based on things that have been around for probably like centuries, and it's dividing people into different personality types. I love personality tests. Like my favorite thing when I was 10-12 years old was picking up Cosmo Girl, L Girl, Twist, and filling out personality quizzes to see like what Powerpuff Girl I am, what Spice Girl I am. The first real personality test I took, I think, was in art school. It would have been like 2008, and it was Myers-Briggs. The Enneagram divides people into 9 different groups. There's a symbol for it. There's certain like connections that I know nothing about. And I just like tests like this, and I think they're fun, and I'm gonna look at a bunch of different websites and get recommended books. And what I think traditionally people will be looking for when they're like looking at books for their Enneagram is like nonfiction, self-help, or books about the Enneagram and understanding it better. What I'm more looking for is just like fiction stories, hopefully not a lot of high fantasy, because I think my Enneagram relates closely to my zodiac sign, and for some reason high fantasy is what I'm supposed to like. I'm open to anything, but I am looking for like secular fiction. We'll see what pops up because there isn't a ton of resources like this. And you can definitely argue the legitimacy of can people really fit into 9 different categories, but you can't say that the whole thing is bogus because it's based on your own answers. This whole Enneagram quiz, test, or whatever. Every time I've taken it, I've gotten the same result. Why don't you go ahead and predict, either in your own head or in the comments below, if you're the type of person who is here who knows things about Enneagrams, what do you think I am? But it's essentially like taking a quiz that says, what's your favorite image? And then you keep picking the pink ones, and at the end it's like your favorite color is pink. So I think the results are valuable because it'll help you learn more about yourself. And I actually find that this is much more useful in learning about other people. I don't really care to get to know myself better, but give this test to your partner, to your employees, to your mom, to your kids. Make them take it, and then you can better learn how to interact with other people, how there are different personalities, how everyone deals with feedback or criticism or positivity differently. It's like how important it is, in my opinion, to learn your partner's love language. So rather than trying to explain my type to you, I'm just gonna play a quick video that I found of this guy describing my type, which is, drumroll, is the drumroll happening? Perfect. A type 8. I think I rejected the idea of being a type 8 for a minute. I'm not sure why. I think I wanted to be maybe a type 4 or type 5. I feel like when I see all of these Instagram things, the 4s and 5s look so much cooler. They always have books. They always have just like cool things. But I'm an 8, and an 8 and an Aries are pretty much the same thing. There are also wings, by the way, if you know nothing about Enneagrams. So I'll let Dr. Tom LaHue quickly explain the type 8, and then we'll figure out what wing I'm in.
Of course, 8s are called the challenger, or sometimes called the protector, and the 8s are in the anger triad, or in the body triad.
Okay, I haven't watched this video, but I watched his other ones on a couple different numbers, Rob's and Liam's. I don't remember, this was a long time ago, like probably a year ago I originally learned my Enneagram. Rob is a 9, by the way, which makes me think I'm probably not an 8 wing 9, I'm more of an 8 wing 7, but we'll find out.
And the doing triad, you might say. Maybe you're bringing up a problem with them. 8s, 9s, and 1s are all going to kind of want to get to the point and say, well, what do you want me to do? they're
Maybe my mom is also an 8, because something that I feel like I got from her is the idea that like I struggle when somebody comes to me with a problem and doesn't want me to solve it. Like I don't know what to do with that information. I immediately go to like, okay, let me fix it for you.
8s, 9s, and 1s are all also called self-forgetting types.
Oh.
They are energetic people. They believe that they are capable and powerful, and they will be empowered people who seek to empower others. They have an anti-authoritarian stance, or what might be called, I like this, quote-unquote auto-rebellion.
I swear if I check all these websites and I just get recommended the Hunger Games like last time, I'll write.
They wake up not thinking about themselves and not thinking about what others think about themselves. They resist, seeking the approval of others. They aren't necessarily tuned into that. They're tuned into, where's the power center? Who has the power? Are they using their power appropriately? Is there injustice? They hate deceit. They hate manipulation. They hate and despise, anybody who is taking advantage of the weak. The 8-7 is going to be more extroverted. The 8-9 is going to tend to be more introverted. The 8-7 is going to be more entrepreneurial, more like here's an opportunity. Here's where we can make something better. The 8-9 is going to be more passive. They're going to be more resilient, more stubborn. They're going to be more of a responder and less of an activist. I think the 8-7 is going to be more of an activist, more take positive action. The 8-7 is going to have a more forceful, engaging personality than probably the 8-9.
Okay, I'm sure we'll dive more into this as I read a little bit more like an actual book about type 8. But I definitely want to look at the recommendations and start getting a list going. So this one is from Parade. This is the next book every Enneagram type should read. And we're just gonna scroll. I'm assuming I will be near the bottom because I'm assuming they're all gonna be in order. And I should read The Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown. I'm not gonna automatically read all the books that pop up, but we're gonna get a list and then we can go into it from there. So that does seem to be exactly like what I expected to be recommended. Kind of a self-help book. I don't mind nonfiction. What I've kind of learned about myself is I like reading about concepts and ideas. I don't tend to like nonfiction that is actionable steps. Maybe that's why I shy away from self-help. Okay, this one's from Frolic Media. And oh my. Okay, wait, are these all romance? Okay, I'm supposed to read Dreaming of You by Lisa Kleypas. 8s are often called the challengers because they're powerful, dominating, self-confident, decisive, willful, and confrontational. Person who knows themselves and can forge a decision path ahead whether you're with them or not. Okay, so just like the zodiac sign one, I'm constantly thinking about like why are these books recommended for each personality type? And when it is fiction, I think the idea is that like you're reading about a main character who fits the same type as you. And I understand, obviously it makes sense, but like it doesn't make sense in the way that's like what I actually enjoy reading. Do type 8s enjoy reading about type 8s? I don't know. Add it to the list. Okay, this one's from Riveted Lit. I remember seeing them with the Zodiac one. So we're just gonna scroll past everyone else and talk about me. Oh, The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. Interesting. I didn't love that book, but I understand how the main characters and the situation in The Nowhere Girls would definitely appeal to type 8. So, okay, biblio.com, relationship book picks for each Enneagram number. Okay, How to Fall in Love with Anyone, and Choose Your Own Love Story. Okay, so far I haven't seen anything that has immediately piqued my interest. Let's keep going. Annie Likes Words has book recommendations for your Enneagram type. And this one has Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, which is a book I didn't love. Book Riot, book recommendations for each Enneagram type. Ooh, I like how this is laid out. I always get good recommendations from Book Riot, so let's see. Okay, assertive, protective, and confrontational is my identifiers. And I got Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston, which I've obviously heard of, but I have never read. Also another Brene Brown. This novel chronicles Janie as she develops her own identity despite the challenges of being both a person of color and a woman during a time where both were treated with contempt. Just like with the Aries, I feel like I'm getting a lot of red covers. I just want to point it out. Next up from Lifeway Books, I feel like I'm going to get a certain type of book. The Holiness of God by R.C. Sproul, and Humility, The Journey Towards Holiness by Andrew Murray. Next up, there's one by Maribel Creations. Book recommendation list. Ooh, this is cute. The first book that showed up that I already own and haven't read yet, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I've had this recommended to me personally by just a lot of you. Oh wait, there's a whole list for each type. The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Did not like that. Everybody Always. Divergent. I love Divergent. To Kill a Mockingbird. Enjoyed that. Before We Were Yours. I've never heard of. And Rebecca. Okay, next one is from Read It Forward. This is a beautiful article. Type 8, The Challenger. 8s are strong-willed, ambitious, decisive, practical. These books will help you go after what you want. So does that mean... Oh, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Empires of the Sky. Daring Greatly, another Brene Brown. Next up from Literary Mornings. My screen looks weird when I'm scrolling. I hope it doesn't look weird to you. Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I've never read a book that's more type 8 than Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This story follows two college students who work together on an experiment to get superpowers. I have heard about this book forever. I've read a couple V.E. Schwab's. I didn't think there was anything really pulling me to this book, so it wasn't at the top of my list. Next up, Modern Mrs. Darcy. The Enneagram types of your favorite books, characters, and authors. What is that? Let's see. 8s are powerful, dominating types who aren't afraid to assert themselves. They downright fear being weak or powerless because they're under someone else's control. Healthy 8s can be effective crusaders for the causes they believe in, but left unchecked, this same underlying quality can make them aggressive and power hungry. Oh my motivations. Jo March and Little Women? Jo March from Little Women is me. I've taken quizzes. I am Jo. I love Jo. Okay, and then authors. Toni Morrison, Terry McMillan, Angie Thomas. I love Angie Thomas. I think I've only read one Toni Morrison, but I mean, maybe I could see what the library has and just like, since there's not a specific recommendation, I can just see what's ever available. And then this is a really recent one called Books to Read During Quarantine for Your Enneagram Type from Personality Hub. Oh, Where the Crawdads Sing is recommended for type 4s on this one. And for type 8, I got Getting to Yes, Negotiating Agreement Without Giving In. That's intense. And also Biased, Uncovering the Hidden Prejudice that Shapes What We See, Think, and Do, is likely to encourage 8s to think deeply about their potential personal prejudices and others' innate judgments. I love that. And then since we're on YouTube right now, it would be doing a disservice to not include any Enneagram YouTube stuff, so I'm just gonna see if there is anything. Book recommendations for Enneagram Type 8. He's done a video for each one.
The child within us resembles the childhood innocence that we once felt.
I feel like I'm about to get a lot of self-help or religious recommendations.
But it's by Brene Brown. This book is called The Power of Vulnerability. Power of Vulnerability, just as the name implies, it's all about finding power within what type 8s might feel as a powerless state, which is being vulnerable. This next book is, again, by Brene Brown. It's called The Gifts of Imperfection. I actually have it right here.
What else you got?
So enriching for their life to get back to that. And that's why I'm recommending this book. It's going to help any of us from any type make that sweet return back to love. That's why we're going to recommend A Return to Love.
Okay, what else we got? Novels for each Enneagram type.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Bree Talks Books. I'm Bree.
Hi, Bree.
So next we have Type 5. They're known as the investigators. So for this group, I'm recommending middle...
I knew I was a type 5.
So for Type 8s, I'm recommending Vicious by V.E. Schwab.
Okay. I'm adding it.
Both characters are trying to seek justice and have like this higher purpose that they're trying to uphold. So I think that 8s will definitely relate to that aspect of it.
Okay, this one is from A Little Writer M.
They are very goal orientated and just really want to succeed. They don't like failure.
Isn't everyone?
The first one is very literal, and it is How to Fail. It is a non-fiction, How to Fail by Elizabeth Day.
I don't want to fail.
The podcast How to Fail would be a great one.
A podcast recommendation, sweet.
And then taking that on the fiction side of things, Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams, I think is a fiction alternative of that.
Okay, I actually had Queenie on my list for like a future video. So that one's interesting. Okay, this one is Liberty India Rose.
What motivates them is wanting to be self-reliant, independent, to prove their strength. I have picked Jo March from Little Women as a type 8 protagonist.
Oh.
8s don't want to be controlled by anyone, and Jo embodies this.
Okay, so I guess I'm being recommended Little Women, like, because of Jo as a character I could potentially connect to. Okay, next up, Abby's Bookish Life.
Brene Brown discussed that type 8s typically had to grow up sooner than they planned and had to grow up pretty quickly. And the book that I think came to mind first for type 8s that I think you would really enjoy is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This book, I think, is a great example of somebody who had to grow up too fast.
Okay, a couple books I've been recommended more than once here, so sweet. Oh, this one is Riri? Tell me your name. I'm sorry.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Reagan.
Reagan.
Next up we have type 8, which is my type, and
Oh,
I'm kind
hey.
of nervous to read this because now that you guys know, I just kind of feel like I'm calling myself out. So an 8 in times of growth take really good characteristics from a 2, and then in times of stress, they take negative characteristics from a 5.
I just learned something.
The first book that I thought of for this number is actually crazy because it's one of my favorite books of 2020, if not my favorite book of 2020, and that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab.
That's one of my favorite books of the year. You heard it here first. No, you heard it here first. Addie LaRue is a type 8.
So I haven't actually finished this book, but I've read like 150 pages of it, so I kind of got the grasp of the main character, and also everyone says that this is accurate. I've asked a couple people who have finished
don't
the
be
book
romance.
and they
Please don't
agreed
be
with me.
romance.
And that is from Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this is about a character named Poppy, and she's kind of the person I thought of when thinking about the type 8.
Okay, so that is a like fantasy romance. I'm pretty sure that book is also like 700 pages, so may not be the most conducive to this type of challenge video, but I do really respect the recommendation, and I'm now subscribed to your channel. I'm gonna get my books together. We'll also talk about some Instagram posts. We'll also talk about a spreadsheet database that I'm putting together. I'm excited. I'm apprehensive about some of the books. We'll see what happens. We'll see what I can gather in time. Okay, I've gathered together a bunch of books that were recommended to me. Here is what the entire gamut of recommendations looks like. I'm not surprised that there is a significant amount of nonfiction that showed up. So I kind of organized this by books that I've already read that were recommended. It's a mix of ones that I ended up liking and ones that I really didn't like, so that worries me. And then a whole bunch of nonfiction, and then a selection of fiction. There's definitely a color theme that you can see, and there's a color theme with the ones I ended up grabbing. So these are the 2 nonfictions I will be reading. This is biased. The more realistic fiction I decided to go with is the one that was already on my shelf, Where the Crawdads Sing. And then I also picked up Their Eyes Were Watching God. I wanted to have one fantasy sci-fi pick. I was very intrigued by Vicious. I've read Victoria Schwab before, so I think this was kind of a safe pick. And then I have some Toni Morrison to choose from as well. This color palette is very much working for me. I think I'm gonna make this an entire theme on my Bookstagram this week and show you everything that I'm reading and letting you guess what the theme is gonna be. So I will update you on that as the video progresses as well, if you caught on, if you knew what was going on, and I'll give some hints along the way.
If shit was at an 8, we like to.
Okay, I'm gonna kick this whole week off with reading the Enneagram. Oh my gosh, I just opened this for the first time, and I am the very first Enneagram discussed in here. The intuitive triad is apparently 8s, 9s, and 1s, which I feel like is something that I heard from that guy. I'm called the Dragon. I think I will have this whole thing explained to me, which I desperately need. Oh, there's also a quiz in here. How each type travels by airplane. Okay, I don't know what I've gotten into here, but I just love this. I love how this is organized. My passion is lust. Sexual 8s. Social 8s. I'm a Millenniagram 8, so nice try, bitch. Okay, I need to actually read this. Am I only gonna read about my number? Maybe. My first read is done. I didn't read every single section. I read 3 of the sections, and I'll tell you why in a second. I think it had a really great introduction. This whole idea of renaming the Enneagram is like her Millenniagram thing. She named type 8 the dragon, and then explains why. And then explains like how the type 8 is connected to other numbers. So like when a type 8 is at their best, they're also acting a lot like a type 2. And when a type 8 disintegrates, they're acting more like a type 5 and taking on like the negative traits within that. Because every type has its own like positives and negatives. I definitely figured out my wing is absolutely an 8 wing 7, and I think this one sentence describes it perfectly. Often read as 7s, 8 wing 7s are big planners and big dreamers. And that is absolutely it. The thing that I find most interesting is connecting me to a 5, because upon taking the quiz in the beginning, first of all, I answered A to like every single question, and it started to feel wrong, but it put me in the intuitive triad and then put me into an 8. But then for the other triads, I got the results of 5 and a 6. So I think I am just like a type 8, but there are different percentages for everything. My official results, beyond being a 98% match with an 8, that is closely followed by a 94% match with a 6 and an 84% match with a 5. All I know from that is I'm definitely not in the feeling triad at all. So I read about the type 8, I read about the type 5 and the type 6, and I see where I fit in all of those things. And my favorite thing about this book is that each section has a how to deal with this type if you are not that type. So I will continue to read along in here because I think there's definitely value learning about each type and how I can interact with them better. I wouldn't recommend this for everybody. It's a very intense language that she's using, and some not so like PC phrasing. So of course I ordered some things from Etsy for the aesthetic, and pretty much all of them were red, but I grabbed this and one other thing that wasn't red. But these are pencils, and I think this is a brand that I've seen in some book boxes as well. I think I might have even gotten a pack of these. They were blue. I can't remember what they were for. Maybe I'll pop up a picture if I find them on my Instagram. Speaking of Instagram, I'm having you pick my next book, so I'll check on that in a second. These ones for Enneagram 8 include one that says Enneagram 8, the Challenger. And then these ones say, not to be rude, but, and giver of 0 fucks. I'm not bossy, I'm the boss. Professional pot stirrer. And let me tell you why you're wrong. So as advised, I will be reading a Toni Morrison. I've read one Toni Morrison before I figured out what it was, and it was Sula. I read it in high school, and since I can't remember it, it must not have been my favorite, but I remembered because it was mentioned so many times when I posted this picture. So from the library, I picked up God Help the Child and Beloved, and then I found A Mercy at my local bookstore. Maybe I will read them all one day, but for this video, I think I know what the answer will be because I saw a lot of this one. 80 comments in total, and it looks like over half of them are for Beloved. I think I know the most about Beloved. I believe we're following 2 different storylines. One where a woman lost her baby or killed her baby and is now being haunted by that baby. And then also a group of escaped enslaved people. Oh gosh, her baby died nameless, and her tombstone is engraved with a single word, Beloved. I don't know if this is better read physically or audibly, so I might check out the audiobook as well. I'm also going to write in my journal with these, all of them at the same time. Check out that sharpening. Okay. Oh, that writes well. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to see my March video plans, so you gotta go. I'm only 9 pages in, and of course, like, I've already been distracted by Instagram. But something really weird just happened. Noelle, oh, you can't see that. Noelle just posted like an Enneagram book recommendation list thing. It was posted by Heart Work Enneagram, and it's book recommendations by Black authors. And the recommendation for type 8s is Sula. And if we go with the other two that are my type, one of them is on my TBR for this month. It's my book club pick. And the other one is one of my like favorite books. I just had to pop in and say that. I just lost my page, but that's fine because I told you what page I was on. I have learned that this was inspired by a true story, which I feel terrible about that I didn't know the history of it. So the real story is about a woman named Margaret Garner. And I don't know if there's any more to learn about her story, but I absolutely will if there is more once I've read this. I don't really have anything to say about it so far. I feel like Sula, if I'm even pronouncing that right, my memory of it, my very vague memory, was that it was a really challenging read as far as like how it was actually written. So I was anticipating kind of like struggling through the language or like the storytelling style. I'm not really sure, but it seems to be a pretty straightforward narrative. Okay, today I am lying next to a pile of laundry. My update on Beloved is the realization that this is not a 1 or maybe even 3-day read. It's pretty dense, and I was wrong that it's like easier to understand than the last Toni Morrison I read. I just feel like I'm reading every sentence, every paragraph, like more than once, just to grasp like where we even are in the timeline, like what's reality and what's imagined. Or I don't even know if that explains it, but I'm 30 pages in. My husband just texted me what I need him to pick up for dinner or otherwise. Oh, I probably just looked horrifying with my phone light. I just finished crying, but not for any bookish reasons, so we don't need to get into it. What I wanted to do today was to look at Instagram at all the Enneagram things. Just like with my Zodiac video, there are all of these little infographics that select different things for your type. So I found a couple Enneagram accounts, and we're gonna see if I feel, I don't know, represented by what we see. I see one with books, and I'm apparently supposed to like biographies and memoirs, which is interesting. This one is color psychology, and the 8 is red, just like I thought. Ooh, for culinary herbs, rosemary is one of my favorites. This one's interesting. It's small pets, and I got a parakeet, which is one of the only animal on this list that I have owned. So that's the account that I found yesterday. And then there's another one called Mirabelle Creations, who I originally got this recommendation from, but I found the actual post. And some other things that she has posted. Ooh, this one's quarantine snacks, and I am ice cream, chocolate, and popcorn. I love popcorn, but I don't like the other two. Quarantine drinks, I'm diet soda, disgusting, LaCroix, which I've never had, and coffee. Coffee, I understand. I posted this whole thing about pop the other day on Twitter, and I caused some arguments. I haven't even had any of the pops that I listed in the last like 10 years besides ginger ale, but only like once a year when I'm sick. And I just think that Fresca is underrated. But again, I haven't had it in 10 years. There's also this one with different books, and the 5 got recommended where the credits sing, which is like still also my number. And then Little Fires Everywhere is one of my favorite books, and it's the only one on this list that I've read, so that's kind of cool. Then there's Lettered by Han. I see Starbucks. Okay, before I look at it, my Starbucks order, okay, well, my coffee order in general, I drink my own like iced coffee at home, usually Starbucks. I don't like sweetener at all in any of my beverages, so I would rather drink it black. At most places I drink black coffee. Sometimes I'll just get an espresso shot, unless they have a really good dairy substitute because I don't like milk or creamer, and I hate most almond milks and I hate most oat milks. I like almond fresh, completely unsweetened. That's what I put in my coffee if I'm making it at home, but most places don't have that, and I really hate Silk. But Starbucks, like, I think has their own branded ones, and I like the almond milk and the oat milk at Starbucks. If I'm not drinking black coffee or black coffee with unsweetened almond milk, I will get a chai. So my Starbucks order is a venti chai with a shot of espresso. So this says my Starbucks order should be an iced coffee with an extra shot. Oh, chai tea is type 9. Interesting. I wouldn't gravitate towards anything else on this list. So iced coffee with an extra shot. I've never actually had, so maybe that's what we should do tomorrow. Okay, and then there's this one that just says things we love. So things that each type loves, and for me it's a bold lip apparently, which I guess is true, though I do like anything organizational, and I do like a new planner, and I do like sunsets, and I do like podcasts, and I do like movie nights and cute but comfy shoes. I feel like a lot of things on these lists is like, yeah, everybody likes those things, but maybe I'm wrong. A red lipstick though. Ooh, and then sweaters. I would wear that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that. Oh my god, that's a lot. That's actually too much for me to even like comprehend right now. What just happened? It's not even just like bold leopard print, like that's the exact coloring. I just bought this sweater like a month ago. If I were a Disney princess, apparently I would be Merida. Oh no, wait, I'd be Tinkerbell. 8 wings 7. This one's really specific. That's cool. I want to be in control. Please do not say that I'm bossy. Pity me or make me feel insignificant. Wow. Okay, this one, there was a different one created for each person. Enneagram 8 things. A cause they're fighting for. Espresso. A new calendar. I do need a new calendar. A freshly made bed. Hobby they're mastering, and empowering quotes. This one is other Enneagram things. I finally got a stack of books. I feel like there's always books in the other numbers, but not in 8. I like plants, but they're always fake because I don't have time or the energy to water them. Button-up shirts also is not, no heels for me. Type 8 movies. Hercules, never seen it. Mamma Mia, never seen it. Mulan, I don't think I've ever seen it. And The Hunger Games. I think I need to like do all of these things. Okay, I'm gonna take an Instagram picture with a bunch of these things, and then I'm gonna watch, drink, and enjoy a bunch of these things. Ooh, this one is Enneagram types as Starbucks holiday secret drinks. Okay, I just got way too excited. What's mine gonna be? Chai cookie latte? Excuse me? A chai tea latte, add extra chai syrup, 2 pumps per venti. Add hazelnut syrup, add Java chips, top with hazelnut syrup. Okay, that's what we're gonna get tomorrow. I can easily type that into my app. I hate going up and ordering something complicated. I would much prefer, actually I almost always order with the app now because it's faster. I don't have to talk to anybody. I don't have to go inside. That is my preference. Plants for each Enneagram. This one's by Chalk and Leaves. And mine says fake, not a plant person. I know I just said I only like fake plants, but it's not that I'm not a plant person. Is it? Am I not a plant person? Ooh, favorite type of pasta. Okay, my favorite type of pasta is bow ties. I can't think of anything else I like. This one says spaghetti. Absolutely not. The Enneagram types as hairstyles on a wild day. I thought that said wedding day, and I was like, there are some ponytails here. 8 says done nicely or at least professionally at all times because it makes them feel good. That is so true. I've almost never gone to anywhere out in public, like never gone to work like with a messy bun. And then there's different Enneagrams from TV shows. So I'm Chuck. Chuck was like my favorite. I understand it's so problematic. From the 100, the 8 is Bellamy. Bellamy was my favorite character from like the 2 episodes I watched of that show. From Vampire Diaries, I'm Damon and Catherine. Huh. Why is it giving me all the characters that I have at one time or another felt attracted to. Am I okay? Ooh, candles. I'm harvest spice, spicy flavor, sassy. Ooh, baked goods. I'm a fruit tart. Cathartic world. Cathartic world thinks I'm a taco, which I'm not mad at. There's also this gift guide, and yeah, like these things could work for everyone, but the fact that there's gift cards and blankets and a travel mug specifically picked for me, those are my 3 favorite things to receive. And literally what I got for Christmas this year. I like this desk organization one. And the one that's closest to me in my desk is the 8. Like, I have the Alex 9 drawers. I literally have a container of only black pens. It's right here on my windowsill. I have a yoga mat, cute plant to encourage me to be productive, absolutely white desk, calendar, big monitor. That is my setup. Like, ooh, Enneagram careers. Okay. Reading. I like the type 3, and the type 8 says advocate, entrepreneur, instructor. There's also these, my aesthetic ones, and why the heck does the type 8 literally look like me? Cup of coffee, orange hair, cheering on our friends, inspirational documentary, and being extremely passionate. I got a book. I am extremely passionate. Okay, I don't know what that really taught us about anything, but I'm gonna try all of those beverages. That's what's up next. Okay, I'm back 5 seconds later. I found this YouTube video called Enneagram Types at Starbucks, and I just want to watch it with you, and maybe it'll give me another drink to try, or like what I'm supposed to do at Starbucks. Like maybe there's an activity.
Cake pops.
I love cake pops.
Come for the coffee, stay for the pastry.
That should have
These
been
are my
mine.
people. That's Steve and Bridget. This is great.
Oh, that's not me. I'm not
I just
chatting
have
with anybody.
black coffee, just straight from the spigot.
Yeah.
Dark roast, black. It's a good idea because they don't have to make it, so you can get in and get out real fast. I usually do mobile order, so it's even faster.
Always
the
mobile.
drive-through line is around the block in the morning.
Oh, I could do the drive-through, but I still do
I'll
mobile.
get 2 of these just to make it till noon. I don't have time to like sprinkle in a little half and half or tap in some Splenda. I want it straight, just the way God intended. Which makes me want to forgive Bridget over there for talking my ear off. I'm not here to be your best friend, Bridget. Just give me my coffee. You are chatty, Bridget, but you know how to pour a good cup of coffee, so I'm gonna let it slide this time. When I was at the pickup window, there was this poor lady who got the wrong drink. It was sweetened, and she hadn't ordered it with sweetener, and she said it was okay, and she wasn't gonna send it back, but I went ahead and took care of that for her because everyone needs to get their drink right, you know?
Okay, side note, I am far more often likely to like send back someone else's wrong thing than my own. Like if I'm at a restaurant, I've done this for my friends so many times. Well, they'll get the wrong thing at the restaurant, and I'm like, it's not a big deal. Like as someone who worked in the service industry, like I would always want my customer to have the right thing. So like if I got something wrong, please tell me so you can get the right thing. So like I would have friends who got like meat on their food when they didn't order meat, and I'd be like, just tell them it's not a big deal. When it was my food, I wouldn't care as much, but I always made my friends get their proper thing. I am trying that super sweet cookie chai tomorrow though. But first, a LaCroix is on its way to my house. I got grapefruit because that's my favorite flavor.
Is it like alcoholic? What is this? Oh, it's just like fake liquid. You're not gonna like it. You don't like anything fizzy fuzzy. And I don't like grapefruit, so this is already
It doesn't taste like grapefruit. It tastes like nothing. I know. Neither of us like sparkling water, as we've learned. Good thing I bought a whole case. So while Beloved had a lot going for it, it was weird and ghosty and interesting. I really struggled through this book. I think I would have benefited by reading this like as a group. I understand why people read this for class and the conversations that it could spark, and a better understanding if everybody like came together and discussed like the themes and what the author was going for. Because upon finishing it, I grasp what it was doing, and I think I'll struggle even more to describe why it's not getting a great rating. I think I'm gonna give it a middle of the road 3, But a lot of the things that I could say about this book exist in books that I have enjoyed. So like, I don't have a good answer. The way that it's switched with so many different POVs, third person and first person and all over the place with past tense and present tense, and never really knowing where I was. And I think the goal is to not fully understand like what's reality, what isn't. The way that it's written is intentional with the tenses, because it's like you can never really escape the past. This is a true horror novel and unlike any that I've read before, and I really need to just like sit on my thoughts and my experience before I can like fully, I don't know, review this book. How do you review this book? The article that recommended this author, I don't think there was like a specific reason for it, so I have no commentary on like why I think this is for 8s. So that's where we're leaving things. Okay, I got a little flustered in the drive-thru because I asked for Java chips in this and he was like, those aren't gonna melt. And I was like, I don't know. It would make more sense to have this as a frappuccino because the thing said to have it iced or hot, but I think this would make sense more so blended with the Java chips in it. Okay, I'm gonna try it and I'm worried. Okay, wait, okay, that's good. As much as like I don't love it, obviously, because it's sweeter, the flavor is actually nice. I probably would have added even more hazelnut. I'm not mad at it. Like, I would never order it again, but I'm not mad at it. Today we're headed to get that service, that recall that I told you about in the last vlog. And I wasn't planning on reading Vicious yet, but it's the only book that's gonna fit in my purse. And we're gonna be sitting there for a couple hours. So this is what I'm gonna be reading today.
That's my type.
So I basically read like 3 pages of Vicious. I didn't get as much into it as I thought I would, so I'm gonna read it today. Today's a pretty heavy filming day, as I feel like most weekends are these days. So I'm filming a video, or I filmed a video that's going up today, and then I'm filming clips for like 2 other videos that you're not gonna see for months, and then 1 video you're not gonna see for like 6 months. I'm supposed to like Vicious because type 8s are known for being confrontational and challenging the status quo. And apparently anti-heroes and gray morality is something I'm supposed to enjoy. This book tackles power and corruption, and it's fast-paced and exciting. So those are reasons that I am supposed to like this. And I'll check in with you after a couple of chapters and let you know like my first impression of what's going on. Also, I started posting teasers of this video on Instagram for you to guess what's going on, and the first one I posted is a book I haven't started yet, but it's Their Eyes Were Watching God, and there was a lot of really great guesses in there of what the secret of the secret TBR is. But then I posted this one today and I think it threw all of you off, so I'm just like maniacally laughing behind the scenes. It's very fun. I'm 30 pages in and I love the setup. I love books like this where there are 2 different timelines and there's clearly an event that happened that changed the course of the characters' lives or their friendship, and we're learning about all this stuff that's happening in both timelines, but there's like this big thing that we don't know and it's like constantly hinted at. In the earlier timeline 10 years ago, Victor and Eli are just coming to like be introduced to the idea of extraordinaries or EOs or superheroes. And then the 10 years later timeline, there's some different like characters and clearly like developments. Their relationship is very different 10 years later. Now, I don't want to hype this book up, but I'm obsessed. I'm only 100 pages in and I have been already reading it for, this is my 3rd day. This book is so fast-paced, which is exactly what it promised it would be and apparently exactly what I want. There's no wasted time, but also she really is drawing out certain events and conversations, and there's some cliffhangers and it's just giving me all the feels. Today on my way home I picked up the iced coffee with an extra shot, which was not the answer for me. I saw an article like a week ago about Enneagram resolutions, and I wanted to search that again. I didn't read it in the moment. So it says what your resolution should be this year based on your Enneagram. So for some people, they're supposed to start meditation, create a cleaning routine, develop a new meaningful connection. Oh my. Read more books in different genres than your usual. I'm there, don't worry about that. Create a morning routine is mine. 8s are pretty typically night owls. We are? I'm such a night owl, so mornings don't look as blissful as they'd like. And then it links me to 12 morning routine hacks for a calmer day. This would be good to implement like tomorrow to test it out. My morning routine is pretty consistent. I could easily get ready in like 15 minutes, but my alarm is set 1 hour before I have to leave the house. I give myself so much time because I hate feeling rushed. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I just want to say it before I read it in case like there are any things that are aligning or that are like the opposite that I get to try. So I wake up at my very first alarm. First of all, I don't understand anybody who sets more than 1 alarm. I just feel like you're setting yourself up for failure and like you're gonna sleep through your alarm. Like why would you ever want to wake up before you actually have to wake up? And also, why train yourself to not wake up when your alarm goes off? My alarm goes off at 5:30 and I'm up. I'm immediately awake. I don't need like a coffee to wake up. My first caffeine of the day I have around like 8. So I wake up, I immediately shower, I put in my contacts, I brush my teeth, I sit down and I do my makeup. Sometimes I'll listen to like a podcast or I'll listen to a book that I'm reading, and I take like half an hour to just like do things slowly. And then while I'm doing that, Rob is making my breakfast and my lunch and Liam's breakfast and his lunch, and then he leaves, and then I still have a little more time and I get Liam all ready to go, and then we leave the house at 6:30 on the dot. And then before I leave the house, I check to make sure I turned off my straightener, turned off the oven, even though I never used the oven to begin with, that all the lights are off, that my bed is made, because there's nothing I like less than coming home to a messy house. Okay, now let's see what my advice is. My dream morning routine goes like this. Wake up naturally with the sun. No. Number 1, set out everything you need the night before. Okay, that's something I left out, but I even like will put my makeup sponge in the bathroom so I don't have to take my makeup sponge to the bathroom in the morning to wet it before I put on my makeup. Number 2, don't check your phone for 30 minutes. I don't. Number 3, wake up 15 minutes early for selfish time. I already wake up as early as I can tolerate. Number 4, buy a timed coffee maker. I just do iced coffee. Number 5, start the day with gratitude. When you start the day with gratitude, you're setting yourself up for a calmer and less stressful day. Include gratitude in your morning routine by writing down 5 things you're grateful for in your daily planner. Listen to a meditation on gratitude or gratitude journaling. I can't imagine myself pulling out a journal when I'm trying to get a child ready for school, but I'll give it a go. What are you grateful for? What?
Water.
Are you gonna drink that whole cup? Number 6, don't hit snooze. Maybe hitting snooze is a part of your morning routine as a cup of coffee. Perhaps you set 6 different alarms over the course of 30 minutes, knowing you're going to ignore everyone except the last one. Okay, yeah, I agree. Get some sunlight. Getting sunlight first thing in the morning tells the body that it's time to wake up. I mean, that's great for those in society who have a choice of what time they wake up. Number 8, meditate while brushing your teeth. The mornings are tough. If your morning routine is hectic, adding acts of self-care meant for relaxation like facial massage, what are you even reading off of? It's a website, tips for a calm morning. Do you think I need help with that? Do you think I'm stressed in the morning? I don't think so. Are you stressed in the morning? Maybe you need to start journaling. No. Add acts of self-care into the mindless habits you already do. Nothing in my life is mindless. While mentally repeating a mantra or listening to a 2-minute meditation. I understand what it's going for. Number 9, move your body. Getting your body moving in the morning has many health benefits. All right, here's how I move in the morning. I stand up, I walk to the shower, I stand out of the shower. Maybe while I'm in the shower, I could do some type of movement.
I do laps.
You do laps. in the shower for sure. But scheduling a workout before my day gets started is not, that's not gonna fly. I'm not waking up at 5 a.m. just so I can go for a walk in the snow. Number 10, make a morning playlist. Something's all it takes to get ready for the day is a killer playlist. Songs that energize you, make you want to dance. Number 11, make your bed. That's great advice. 12, schedule everything. Don't worry, I do. So tomorrow, brush my teeth, meditate, dance in the shower, put on some loud music. I usually shower before Liam's awake though, so my music might bug him a little. And my dancing.
I already hear you shower.
Okay.
Very loudly, because the pipes are in the wall of my room.
Right, I can't turn down my shower. Hi, welcome to my new chill morning. Just kidding, it's actually 5 a.m. instead. -10 out, and we have hockey.
Just take a moment to get comfortable. Doesn't matter whether you're parked in a stationary car, sat on a train somewhere. Don't have to be fully upright, but at least sat in a position which will allow you. Sit there, just take a couple of nice big deep breaths. Breathing in through the nose.
Minty.
As you breathe out, sense of letting go.
Yeah.
Letting go.
Let it go. I am grateful for heated seats. I am grateful for concealer, and definitely grateful for oatmeal. So I wanted to listen to an audiobook today while I was waiting for Liam and then on my commute to work and home, and I didn't just want to pick up Vicious because I'm really enjoying reading it physically. So I picked up the audiobook for Biased, and it's one of the best like nonfictions I've ever listened to, and I'm actually almost finished with it. So I wasn't planning on reading an entire book before finishing Vicious, but I'm about to wrap it up, so that's kind of nuts. I finished Biased and I gave it 5 stars, and I just want to recommend it to everybody. I was supposed to enjoy this because 8s like to think deeply about potential prejudices and other innate judgments. Protective 8s are motivated to identify, challenge, and explore bias in the world around them. I literally started vlogging because Robbie was watching TV on the couch, and now suddenly he's snoring. Apparently it's bedtime at 9 o'clock. Anyway, my apologies if you can hear him, or my apologies to him if I'm about to wake him up. So first off, I really want to recommend the audiobook. It's not that I don't think the physical reading experience is valuable, and I did especially enjoy reading like the last quarter physically. The best part, the whole book is great, obviously, but the first quarter and the last quarter are definitely the most valuable in regards to understanding certain concepts, and the middle is the most valuable for hearing stories and being impacted by people's experiences. The first quarter especially, there are so many stats thrown at you, and I feel like when a book has so many numbers on a page, the impact can sometimes be lost. But man, this last, like, actually not even that much because there's a whole bunch of sources at the end. There's this one chunk right here, like the conclusion kind of the whole thing, that is the best. Just it just did it all. Jennifer L. Eberhardt is specifically or especially talking about biases revolving around race and biases in policing, because that's what she is heavily involved in, is training police officers. So the book is talking about how biases exist, how society encourages bias, and there are all of these studies that are so interesting to learn about. That was the loudest snore I've ever heard. I just want everybody to read this. I know that the type of person who's picking this up is somebody who already agrees with the topic and is interested in the topic, but that's not like the #1 person who needs to be introduced to these concepts. So like, how do we force those people to read this? Because when you look at the statistics of everything that she's sharing, you cannot deny racial bias. And like, whoever's here, who's ever down to like hear me talk about this, we already understand that racial bias is a thing. But after reading this, like, you just can't ignore the fact that, like, women are selected less for jobs just because they're women. Black folks get selected less for almost every opportunity if a white person is available. And just seeing it like laid out with all of these numbers attached to it and all of this evidence, because she has spent her life studying this stuff. It's just so clearly evident that you're reading from an expert. But then this end part is so important. I went back through and I tabbed certain things that I want to talk about in my review, or just like certain passages that I think are some of the most important takeaways. But there's this whole thing about training at the end. And the whole idea is like, okay, so we all acknowledge bias and prejudice. So, and it talks about like how there was that Starbucks training and all of these different training opportunities that corporations have taken, but that training doesn't just magically fix everything, and that there is no one like doing the studies to prove that the training is fixing things. It's just so good because it gives you the vocabulary I might not potentially have until reading this. So like, we all know the idea of being accused of something racist and then coming at it with like, oh, well, I have a black friend, so I can't be racist. Like, that's a problem. But she goes into like why that's an issue and discusses the concept of a whole about moral credentialing and how people are more willing to express attitudes that could be prejudiced when their past behavior has established their credentials as non-prejudiced. So a lot of times either people will act good in a situation because they know that in the future they can act poorly and fall back on like, oh, well, that one time I was a good person. Or they will do something good in the moment knowing that they're going to have the opportunity to be shitty in the future. I think she just perfectly mixed together her own experience as an educator, as a professional, and also her experience as a parent, and how she just sees her son and her family members move about in the world, and then also statistics and also studies. Anyway, I'm still trekking through Vicious, which is a very different vibe, but hopefully I'll finish it soon. So I'll see you maybe tomorrow. Okay, here's the plan today. Oh, my face is very red. I've been filming something else. But Meg is live right now on her channel doing reading sprints with Molly and Sabine. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm almost done and I love it a lot. And then if I get finished with it, well, regardless, at some point today, I'm gonna start this. Vicious is definitely slowing down a little bit. Like, I am always super interested in the setup of a book. Like, first getting to know the characters and their relationships and like learning about the magical situation. But then like once we get into fighting and like battling each other, that's where I lose a little bit of interest. But I'm excited to see where it goes because I know there's also a sequel and I'm worried about how it's gonna end because maybe I'll have to pick it up immediately. Okay, I finished my book. My eyes are really red. I don't know what's happening with, I don't know if it's my eyes or my contacts, but I can only wear my contacts for like 2 hours and then it feels like there's like dirt in my eye. But Vicious, I'm giving, what am I giving it? 4 stars. A confident 4. I didn't realize how long ago this came out. I think it was like 2013 and then the sequel didn't come out until 2018. So you guys were waiting a really long time. And so I know there's a 3rd book, but who knows when the heck that's coming out. And then there's some little books in between. This is a pretty safe recommendation. Here's what I find with, well, okay, this is like pretty, I'm so stupid. This is standard when it comes to book recommendations as a whole. Like, people tend to recommend books that people like duh, Kayla. But the thing I always think about when looking at books recommended for your zodiac sign or your Enneagram or whatever is that the likelihood of you liking that book is already high regardless of your type, just because like that book has a high average rating. Like, everybody loves it. So what I have been doing for the last like couple months is putting together a recommendation list. I didn't know if I wanted to like give the whole spreadsheet, put out a database. I still haven't decided. I have like the weekend to put this together, but I'm gonna put together statistical recommendations for your Enneagram. I don't know how to take an emotional take at book recommendations. I know how to take an analytical take on book recommendations. So I'm compiling a post that I've looked at a couple hundred of you who tweeted at me with your Enneagram type and your favorites list on Goodreads. And how do I explain this? I gathered together books that are lower than a 4 of average ratings, but that specific Enneagram type tends to give higher ratings than the rest of the Enneagram types. So it's not going to be the most popular books, it's going to be the next tier. So books that have a more niche audience, a more specific reader who ends up loving it and isn't as broadly loved. So I really enjoyed this, but it also has like a 4.3 or 4.4 average rating on Goodreads. So like it is well loved. I'm glad I liked it, so nobody's gonna come for me. I think it had a really interesting look at like trust and revenge and like what good and bad is. Side note, all of you who love this, I never want to hear you say that you didn't like a book because there was a female character who was unlikable, because I hear that too much. And now we have like the ultimate book where the characters are intentionally unlikable and you all stan them. Next up, I'm gonna smell a candle. What is my life? So I picked up the Wild Sparrow Candle Company's Enneagram type for myself. It is 8, the Challenger, Sea Salt, Amber, and Strength. I'm sorry, that's so funny. Here's something that I notice across the board. It happened with my Aries video, it's happening with this one. I feel like I am a pretty unsentimental type. And what I find is that my type is the least likely to engage with this type of material. Like, we're the least likely to care about our type or want to engage with things about our type. Like, me and my mom have a bookmark business and we sell, occasionally we do like a zodiac sign collection, and it almost immediately sells out. This time, not a single Aries one was purchased until like a month later. They just sat there for so long. I remember seeing this thread on Twitter once that was about like what's something people misunderstand about your sign and you want to correct them, and Aries, out of the thousands of responses, Aries did not even engage with the tweet. And the same thing is true with the Enneagram. Like, anytime I see discourse online about the Enneagram, there are no 8s who engage with the conversation. When I tweeted out about asking for your Enneagram type, I was obviously most interested in seeing what my fellow 8s are loving, but I swear out of the hundreds of responses I got, maybe less than 10 type 8s. And I had to retweet the tweet because the first time I only got like 2 people who responded. So I just feel like when I'm looking at all of this stuff about the Enneagram, other people will appreciate a lot of the things that I just like can't take seriously. Like the fact that this candle like is supposed to smell like sea salt, amber, and strength. I can't, but I'm the one who bought it, so let's take a sniff. Oh, I don't like it. Oh, it smells like, okay, it's not like bad, but I wouldn't want my house to smell like this. It kind of smells like cologne, but it's really pretty for an Instagram picture. I really loved their whole collection of candles. I think these are super, super pretty. It was packaged well, and I would definitely like recommend them. And I like that it wasn't red. I got a blue one. I told you guys a while ago that I thought that my aesthetic was navy blue, and I just feel a little justified by this. We're gonna give it a go with my giant match that everyone always comments on, because it looks like comically large and people get confused. But yes, that's why I enjoy it. And I'm gonna read this by candlelight. I posted a picture with this, with all of the things that were recommended for me from all of those Instagram posts. And as I was laying it all down, I was like, this looks like the theme of my secret TBR is like middle-aged housewife vibes. And then that's basically what most of the comments that came in were guessing. Reading like a mommy or family vlogger. Books a stay-at-home mom would read because her friends are talking about them at yoga. All these items seem to relate to being a 30-something stay-at-home mom or something like this. Living like a bored housewife. Something Reese Witherspoon related. A millennial thing. This feels like rich white woman in a book club. I mean, not to generalize because anybody can care about the Enneagram, but I do think that Enneagram stuff around the internet does very much appeal to that demographic. I picked this up a long time ago just because it had hype, and then it just, you know, sat around for a long time, and then somebody told me recently that I would love it because it has a courtroom situation or scene or topic or something like that, and I have been really loving books in that vein. I know that it follows a girl. I think I originally might have thought that it was magical because this marsh girl, I think, has been like abandoned or something, but I thought she was like this mystical creature at one point. But apparently someone is found dead and the locals immediately suspect Kaya Clark, the so-called marsh girl. I am 40% of the way through Where the Crawdads Sing, and it's about a marsh girl. At this point, we've already followed her for like 13 years of her life, and there's like this event that happens this specific year, and we keep having little like flash forwards to this moment in time where the body has been found. But I think we're gonna progress with this same back and forth. I'm wondering if it's gonna switch at some point and like the whole second half of the book is during this like investigation, perhaps trial, or if we're gonna keep switching timelines throughout the entire book. I think I would prefer that way. It's pretty much going exactly as I expected. Like, we're covering topics I thought we would. She is learning about like her body and quote unquote becoming a woman and falling in love for the first time. I was pleasantly surprised by that situation because I didn't think that's where the book was going to go. I didn't think she would get to have like this sweet relationship. I thought it would be a little more, not that her life isn't challenging, but I thought it would be solely focused on like the tribulations of her life. So getting to see her like feel happy and love when her family has pretty much left her behind, I think that's a really important like growth portion of the book. I think it's kind of easy to predict what's gonna go on with the death of this boy. I prefer books that have like twists and turns and reveals and unexpected, like shocking kind of moments. And I know this isn't a mystery or a thriller, so I'm not looking for that. This is a type of book I understand that a lot of people enjoy. Like, I get it. Okay, I don't want to read anymore. I look like I'm ready for a slumber party. I'm gonna find a blog post or a YouTube video or something where there are movie recommendations for Enneagram so I can watch a movie tonight. I am near the end of Where the Crawdads Sing, but like I've read a lot today, so I'm tired and I don't want to anymore. Okay, I found one from A Little Bit of Monica called The Perfect Movie for Each Enneagram Personality Type. I don't know where my headphones are and I don't want to grab them, so I'm gonna hate myself when I have to edit this, but let's watch. Okay, there have been a few animated movies popping up and now I'm worried. But it could be fun to watch my recommendation and Robbie's recommendation and see if we do prefer the one chosen for us. What do you think?
Type 8, the challenger. Type 8s are very confident, very decisive. They like to take on leadership roles. They don't think about it twice. The movie that I chose for Type 8 is Heathers. And no, I'm not talking about the Conan Gray song, about the movie starring Winona Ryder and Christian Slater.
Okay, fun fact, exposing myself, I've never seen the Heathers. I've referenced it a few times in different videos. I've just mentioned it before generally as like this book is like this, and I get the gist of what the movie is, and a lot of my favorite movies people recommend like for fans of the Heathers, but I've never actually seen the Heathers.
Alright, so we reached Type 9, the final type, the peacemakers. Type 9s are very easygoing and chill. They just want harmony. So the movie that I chose for Type 9 is The Last Black Man in San Francisco, which is a movie that I've talked about before on my channel a bunch of times.
I've never heard of it. Two things I learned in my Enneagram research that's more just like opinion based. I saw this thing that talked about like the best pairings for relationships, and apparently Type 8s and 9s are a really good pair, so that's kind of cool. I also learned, and this relates to what I was talking about before, about how 8s aren't like the number you see a lot like interacting with Enneagram stuff, and that might be because I just learned that Type 8s are the least common type. So that's just a fun fact for you.
Hey kid, isn't the prom coming up?
I guess.
Any contestants worth mentioning?
Maybe. There's kind of a dark horse in the running.
I just finished Where the Crawdads Sing, and it's interesting how, can you guys hear how windy it is? My Jeep is literally shaking. It's interesting how the last book I read was a lot of commentary on like the justice system, and this book has like not a similar, I mean, it's fiction, and also it is like an almost entirely white cast of characters, and so it's not about the same injustices. But it is interesting reading back to back like a critique of the system, and then also reading like a story about a girl who is being accused of something and how the law like isn't ever going to be in her favor, and how like people are consistently rewarded a certain type of person in court. And because she has a certain type of reputation, as much as like she's supposed to be protected by the law, there are always going to be biases within the court, and there's so much that could influence people besides just the facts, even though that's what's supposed to happen. So my overall rating for this, I'm struggling a little bit because like if I weren't reading it for a challenge, if I didn't have the audiobook on hand, I would have DNF'd it. But it's not that like the book started to get boring or I just like couldn't get through it. I knew from like 30 pages in what the story was, like how it was gonna end, like all of the beats we were gonna hit. I don't think I can pinpoint like a specific thing that made it a 2-star? A 2.5. I don't know. Why was I supposed to like this one? I was supposed to see a little bit of myself as an 8 in the main character, while feeling the need to protect her and to stand up for her because she's facing adversity. Like, I get how this book worked for people, but like, it was literary fiction, but it was also like crime, but it was also like romance. And I didn't lean into any one of those things enough to make me love it for being that thing. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the courtroom stuff, but I wanted so much more of it. Kaya's character development was strange at best, and if it had gone like some different directions, I think I could have enjoyed that better. I'm definitely not mad about it, and it wasn't like an overtly upsetting book, though I never enjoy reading like slurs in the ways that certain characters are treated as like appropriate for the time as like you could argue it is. Anyway, speaking of ridiculousness, Heather's was way over the top and ridiculous and super funny and weird. Based on when that came out, I had a lot of problems with it, but I enjoyed it. Is that because I'm a type 8? Hello, haven't done a morning clip in a while, so hello. What's happening back there? Liam's currently getting crushed by snowboards. Hopefully the snow melts soon because Liam's dirt bike has recently been fixed and it's all ready to go, which is exciting. I'm reading my last book today, which is Their Eyes Were Watching God. It's really short. I think I'll probably get through it today. Also, the audiobook popped up on Libro FM for free. I think it was the author's birthday. Anyway, so I might listen to a little bit of that, but Liam's glaring at me, so I should probably go. So unfortunately, by the snoring you might be able to hear in the background, I have in fact abandoned my husband on the couch as he fell asleep while we were watching The Last Black Man in San Francisco. So I'm gonna wrap this up really quickly so we can go to sleep properly. That was one of the most beautiful, like cinematography wise, like stunning movies I've ever watched. I just haven't watched anything like that in a very long time. I don't make time to like watch movies in general, and though my husband fell asleep, I enjoyed myself. I struggle to even review books sometimes. Reviewing movies, that is not in my wheelhouse at all, so I'm not even gonna try. But I think I enjoyed that and the Heathers the same, and Rob didn't make it through either of them, so I don't know if they're for 8s or 9s or what. I think the most unexpected part of this entire video is happening right now. My favorite fiction of the week is Their Eyes Were Watching God. I really didn't expect this one because I didn't know a ton about it to begin with. And I made time to watch that movie tonight because I was going to watch this movie, but I can't find it anywhere in Canada to watch it legally except YouTube, but it's in like 240p and I'm not gonna put myself through that. So hopefully one day I'll get to see the adaptation. I know there are some differences between the book and the movie. It did take me probably like halfway through the book to fully grasp everything and like the language, the dialect, but once it becomes more familiar, I feel like it's a really rewarding experience. It's weird because I feel like you could draw some parallels between this and the last book that I just read, which I didn't like, just like certain themes that are kind of similar, and I could say a lot of similar things about this in regards to how the main character is treated as far as just like generally not being accepted, obviously for lots of different reasons. We're following a Black woman in the 1930s. It's a completely different experience, but like the fact that there are so many different things going on, like it's not a romance but there's romance in it. It's not about, you know, like there's so many things going on, so obviously I can't fall back on explaining. That is why I didn't like Where the Crawdads Sing. I have to figure out some things about myself. But I just thoroughly enjoyed myself reading this and following Janie through all of her struggles through these different relationships and making herself a priority and doing what she wants to do with her life and figuring out what that even is. I know people will challenge the idea of feminism portrayed in this book, and that it doesn't maybe reflect their idea of modern day feminism, so you can't consider this a feminist text. I've been reading some Goodreads reviews. It's all very interesting how people talk about this book, but just seeing her go through her life and the choices, good and bad, that she makes, and the good and bad choices that her partners make, and all of the people around her who don't accept her and tell her like what she should expect for herself and why she shouldn't go after this sort of life and how she can use her looks to take advantage of this, and like how people want to use her. And it's all just such a fascinating just little dip into this person's experience as she finds her voice. I was waiting so long to find out how the title had anything to do with the book, and since I hadn't read much before going into it about the book, I had no idea where the narrative was even going. And so like the entire, not very end, but like the whole ending and how this comes into play and like the things that are going on were so unexpected, and I loved that. I definitely highly recommend the audiobook though. This is the type of book that if you listen to the audiobook as you read it, that is probably the best experience, even just because it's very dialogue heavy, and getting to listen to the narrator like bounce back and forth with the inflections and stuff can just give you a better idea of the tone, I feel. So this was great. I'll do a nice little wrap up tomorrow, I think. So to wrap up, I thought it would only be fair to let you in on the fact that I was doing an Enneagram reading challenge and have you guess my type. So I just put it up, and I anticipate people pegging me as a 3 and a 5. Okay, the very first comments coming in say 4, 4, 4. 2 of them say I'm a 4-wing 3, which I don't really know. I got a 5, and then I got a 5 or 6. A 3 is showing up a ton, and the people who are saying 3 seem very confident that I'm a 3. Looking at a type that I, with 44 comments and continually getting mistyped in, actually gives me a little bit of comfort because it shows me that I have a healthier relationship with social media than I even realized, because you don't know me that well. Oh no, Brene Brown would say that I'm not being vulnerable enough. Side note, some people have done some summaries of Brene Brown books. If you don't want to pick one up, you can listen to or read someone like summing up what all of her books are. But it just goes to show me that how I have positioned myself on the internet makes it easy to mistype me, because you have no idea what I'm like in real life. Looking into aspects of a 3 to 4, I see where you would come up with those with just viewing my channel and the way that I am. 3s are troop ralliers, shit handlers, hardworking, ambitious, and 4s are known to be fiery and passionate and naturally creative. But what I know for certain is I am not in the feeling triad. A lot of ways that 3s go about the world is based on how other people are viewing them and wanting to impress people and wanting to fit in every social situation. And with 4s, I do pride myself in seeing things from every angle, but I definitely don't feel unique and misunderstood or special or unique in any way. And this is a feeling I just don't connect with in any facet of my life. And again, considering how other people feel about me is the absolute least of my concerns. And I see how a lot of aspects of me being an 8 you wouldn't recognize, because I keep so much to myself and I don't talk about so many of the things that are involved in my real life and so many of the efforts that I put forth in every aspect of my life, because it's not about me. I am consistently concerned about everyone around me. Since I put my face and the things that I create out there for people to critique, it might look like I want that attention, recognition, or whatever, but I just want to get shit done and do things the way that they should be done and make sure that everybody is safe and comforted and that everything is just. You might think that because I go so hard at BookTube and I take on a lot of projects and I'm super ambitious, I do a lot here and I try really hard, that it may come across like this is how I am in all aspects of life, which is not true. I'm good at what I do because I choose to do what I'm good at. Looking through and having more comments come in, I am starting to see an 8 and I feel seen. Even getting an 8 wing 7 a few times, which is cool, and often paired with a 4 wing 3, so those must be similar or easily mistaken for each other by the people who clearly know more about Enneagrams than I do. I wonder which Enneagram type is the most likely to like really care about their Enneagram type. You know how like Leos love being Leos? I wonder if there's an Enneagram type that is just like so obsessed with being that Enneagram type that they just like love to talk about the Enneagram. Like what type is the type that has like a whole blog dedicated to the Enneagram or like a YouTube channel dedicated to the Enneagram? How did this week go? I read a couple books that I absolutely loved and I find so great and valuable and will recommend them to other humans. I read 2 books that I really enjoyed and I'm stoked about it, and I was assuming that I would have a good time, and I did. And then 2 books that if I had to guess, I might have said are the most up in the air and I didn't end up really clicking with. But obviously with any Enneagram recommendation video, blog post or article or whatever, it's all completely subjective to the person who wrote it. Like, this isn't fact-based, this is all opinion stuff. And my opinion is most of these books completely make sense for how they would appeal to a type 8. But they didn't all work for me. So how could they? Like, mathematically, they weren't all going to be 5 stars. That's not a thing. But did I have a good time? Yes. Did you have a good time? Maybe. And now I have some recommendations for Enneagrams, not based on opinion at all, but cold hard facts, which is how I process things. So go ahead and click the link down below if you want to find out the statistical facts about the books that you will love based on Enneagram. Try it out, film a video, tag me on Instagram, do whatever you gotta do. I love you a lot, and I will see you soon. Bye!